Hare Krishna. So let us begin by reciting the Mangalacharan and Guru Pranam mantra. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadavayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadvitam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Sri Shakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jaganpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Jayatam Shatapangur Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyad Vrindaranyo Kalpadrumadaha Srimatratra Simhasanosto Sriman Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prasthanibihi Sevamadam Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivatastatastitaha Darshan Venur Sanergopir Gopirata Shriyastra Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatyadeeshatari Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatam Jayavadiraye Nastapayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nikmakalpatarorgalitam phalam sukhamukaram ritadragasamyutam vibhata bhagavatam rasammayam muhuraho rasika bhuripalata Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Nama Pankajavaya Nama Pankajamane Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre Vayi me Ananda Vishaya Mati Madhupatiya Sakrit Pratim Utpahat Adha Gange Vaudhamudandvatihi. O Lord of sweetness, Madhupati, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction, or Ratim, be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vinashana Srimati Uttam Kanvachalam Bhavam Gaitim Kirim Yakvipatamam Vande Sri Guru Pinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Vishnu Om Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to our Srimad Bhagavatam session today. We are continuing with chapter 16 chapter 16 is entitled How
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Parikshit received the age of Kali. So, this is part 2. We have done the part 1 before in the previous session. So, let's recap a little of what were the things which covered previous session. So, we spoke about Maharaj Parikshit as the emperor of the world. Basically, this is a conversation taking place between Sutta Goswami and Saunaka Rishi and the sages of Naimisharanya forest. So there are thousands and sages in Naimisharanya forest. All of them have gathered there, and headed by Saunaka Rishi, he's putting questions to Sutta Goswami. Why? Because Sutta Goswami had heard the Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the lips of Sukadev Goswami. So therefore, they want to know. They understood that Srimad Bhagavatam is the solution for Kali Yuga. Because Kali Yuga is coming, all of them had assembled there to conduct the fire sacrifice. They wanted to stop the onset of Kali Yuga, but they couldn't. Even thousands and thousands of very powerful sages, they all gathered in a holy place, considered to be the center of the universe in Naimisaranya forest. And for thousands of years, almost they were doing sacrifice, 1,000 years. Yeah, 1,000 year sacrifice. But still, they could not check the onset of Kali. So in desperation, they met Sutta Goswami and they asked him, please tell us what is the solution. And now that Lord Krishna has left the world, where will Dharma take shelter? Where will all of us take shelter? Right? So to that, there were 6 questions asked, and Sutta Goswami answered those questions briefly in the beginning, but the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is basically the answer to those 6 questions, going deeper and deeper, expanding and expanding. It began with brief, simple answers, but now each answer is being expanded further and further and further. So, in this conversation, one of the questions they wanted to know was about Parikshit Maharaj, the listener of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and they wanted to know about the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadev Goswami. They wanted to know about Krishna's pastimes and incarnations, and they also wanted to know where does Dharma and everyone take shelter now that Lord Krishna has left the world. So the answer to all of these questions is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. The moment the Lord leaves, Bhagavatam rose like the sun to give light to all those who are lost in this dark, dense age of Kali. And the Leelas of the Lord, the avatars of the Lord, about the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the situation and how it happened, who is qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, who is qualified to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So all of this discussion is basically given in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. That's the answer. So now we are in chapter 16. So the story now is the narration is now moving towards the question on who is Parikshit Maharaj. So how did Parikshit Maharaj come to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam? What kind of situation came to him that Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken? So the narration, and in between the narration, Sutta Goswami took the opportunity to nicely glorify Supreme Personality of Godhead. Almost every few pages, you will find wonderful glorifications of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you will hear, and we heard many, many pastimes also, the pastimes of how Krishna was with Arjuna and with the Pandavas, and all the different pastimes we heard also. And along the way, also coming to the answer of this question, is Parikshit Maharaj and what situation happened. So, Goswami is narrating this. So this chapter 16, this chapter spoke about how Parikshit was born, how Parikshit was saved by Lord Vishnu, how Parikshit grew up, and all the wonderful qualities Parikshit Maharaj would have, which was predicted by the Brahmanas, the Vipras, the learned Brahmanas. They predicted at the time of his birth all the wonderful qualities Parikshit Maharaj would have. And now that he's grown up, and then we heard about how Parikshit Maharaj became enthroned as the king. And for that situation, we heard about the disappearance of Lord Krishna. And after Lord Krishna disappeared, Pandavas also decided to leave the world, to renounce everything. So we heard about all that in chapters 14, 15, 16, chapters 14 and 15, right? So now when Yudhishthira Maharaj left everything, he enthroned Parikshit Maharaj as the king. Now that Parikshit Maharaj is king, now we hear the story. So this chapter began with the narration of how Parikshit Maharaj was such a wonderful king. The qualities of Parikshit Maharaj was described. We heard about the qualities. Uh, and then we heard about how he married, who was his wife, Iravati, the daughter of King Uttara. And then we heard about his sons, namely, he had four sons, and the eldest was King Janamejaya. Janamejaya will be the next king after that. So that will come later. And then we heard about his guru, Kripacharya, one of the Chiranjeevis. So Kripacharya was the guru. And we heard about all the deep meanings behind all this, why these kind of questions were asked and why these answers were given. All that we discussed in chapter in the previous session. And we also heard about the sacrifice Parikshit Maharaj would perform, the Ashwamedha sacrifice. So he performed 3 Ashwamedha sacrifices, the horse sacrifices, 3 times under the instruction of the Guru Kripacharya. So we also heard about how Varnashram Dharma is actually supposed to take place. The king or the administrative body is supposed to perform its administrative duties by the order of the Brahmanas. So they are not independent. The king is not the highest in the society. The king is royal. Yes, they are given all facilities. They're given everything. They're given respect, name, fame, glory, power. But they are supposed to act according to the advice of the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas, on the other hand, they renounce everything. Brahmanas take up a vow of poverty. They they do not accept salary from the king. Why? Because they want to maintain their independence so that they can freely give their advice independently without worrying about whether the king is happy or not about their advice. So that is the proper setup of Varnashram Dharma. Because in order, one should be able to speak the truth, right, without worry of favor or fear. So, and that's why the Brahmanas understood this position and they maintained this. So we heard about all these things, right? All these were the Mahat Guna, the qualities foretold. And we also heard about how Parikshit Maharaj, above and beyond all the other great qualities, he was Mahabhagavata. He was a great devotee, great devotee, right? In fact, it is described there are 12 Mahajans. In this entire universe, there are 12 Mahajans, are very, very, very great devotees of the Lord. And out of these 12 Mahajans, which comprises Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Bali Maharaj, like that, one of them is Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is also a Mahajan. And the speaker of the Bhagavatam, Sukadev Goswami, is also a Mahajan. We will hear about Sukadev Goswami in chapters 18 and 19 and all that. But now we are going to hear about Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj was the king, and we heard how Kali Yuga was, because the Pandavas already left the world, Krishna already left the world, and Kali Yuga was already encroaching, and it's the time of Kali Yuga. The promise for Kali Yuga is there. So therefore, he already saw how the society was being corrupted. He saw corruption everywhere. He saw degradation of society. He saw degradation in not only society, in the environment, in the earth. And he was thinking, I'm being the king here. It's my duty to check all this adharma. So immediately he took his sword, he took his weapons, he took his army, he took his chariot, and he immediately set out. He wasn't an idle king. He wasn't just satisfied to let it happen. So we heard about how, although it is Kali Yuga, although it is the time of Kali, still it is the duty of the Varnashram society, especially the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, particularly the Kshatriyas, under the guidance of the Brahmanas, to ensure that Kali Yuga is always kept at check. You cannot say that, oh, it's Kali Yuga anyway, what can we do? I can't do anything. That argument is not accepted. Mm. Just like if it's raining, you cannot say, oh, it's raining anyway, let's just get wet in the rain. Why bother? Why bother to have an umbrella? Why bother to get so no. Even though it may be raining, we should still take precautions. We should still do what is within our capability to ensure that things are maintained. So that's the role of the king. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, as he was going around the world, the entire world, particularly most of the world was under the rule of Parikshit, in fact, all the world. Uh, so Sutta Goswami narrates how he was going on this journey, he came across a very unique situation, a situation which he has never seen before. The situation was where he saw a bull and a cow, a bull which is standing on only one leg. Three of its legs were broken, and there was a cow, and the cow was crying terribly, and the bull was also crying, and the bull was being attacked by someone who looks like a king, who's wearing the clothes of a king, but by his appearance, he's obviously not a king. He is a Shudra, a very terrible looking personality, but he's dressed in the dress of a king. And in this way, he was performing an activity which was considered adharmic completely. So when he saw this, immediately he got out from his chariot and he wanted to kill the cow and the bull. But Sutta Goswami narrates, he narrates, he wants to bring up the suspense. He wants to test his audience, whether his audience is interested to hear or not. So he didn't tell the full story. He straight away went and said, Parikshit Maharaj saw this, and he saw this offender, the king, and he punished him, and he punished this. And then Saunaka Rishi was surprised. He was thinking, here is someone who performed so many unforgivable sins. Number one, he dressed a Sudra dressed up as a king. That is unforgivable. And then, as in that role, he was taking a sword and he was striking the bull. He had cut off the legs of the bull, and the cow was crying. So all of this was obviously, it looks like it's coming from the from due to the king's work. But still, Parikshit Maharaj, instead of killing such a person, he's such an offender. By the laws of Manu, you're supposed to kill such a person. But he didn't kill him. He punished him. So therefore, Saunaka Rishi was surprised. He was asking, why Parikshit Maharaj, who's such a saintly person, who understood Dharma, he simply just punished him and not killed him. So you can understand from this that there is a time for mercy and there is a time for proper execution of what is needed, necessary, right? So one shouldn't mix up mercy with justice. There is a time for everything, right? So, and that is how supposed to be done. But how did this happen? How did this happen? So, and then he told Saunaka Rishi, please tell me all this only if it is in relation with Lord Krishna, only if it's in relation with him. Otherwise, all is with relation with Lord Krishna or the pastimes, or with relation to achieving the lotus feet of Krishna. Otherwise, not bothered to hear, they're not interested. So that's very interesting, isn't it? They're very focused. They're very focused, no prajalpa, nothing else, only Krishna conscious. So we heard about how Parikshit, Sutta Goswami and Sanatana Rishi's conversation, heard about how Parikshit sets out to check the, and we heard this situation. And along the way, this is the beautiful the verse. Atavasya Padam Buddha Makaranda Liham Satam Kim Aner Asat Alapair Ayuso Yat Asat Abhyaha. So in this verse, Sutta Goswami was responding to Saunaka Rishi. He was saying, devotees of the Lord are accustomed to licking the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord. Adam Boja, the lotus feet of the Lord, emanating honey. The liters, honey is constantly coming out from the lotus feet of the Lord. And the devotees of the Lord are simply engrossed in nothing else but just licking that honey. They are they're addicted to that honey. So this is the nature of the pure devotees of the Lord. So therefore, Saunaka Rishi is saying, Suta Goswami is telling, don't worry, your question is definitely in connection with Krishna consciousness. And I understand that devotees are all directly attached to hearing only about the topics of the Lord. Therefore, don't worry, your question is very much fitting, and therefore he begins to answer. So we heard about how Parikshit Maharaj traveled. So Saunaka Rishi begins to describe in more detail. He doesn't go straight to the point because he wants to expand further about Krishna, and he wants to expand further about that Krishna's Leela and all these things, so that it increases the desire for Saunaka Rishi and the Naimisaranya forest sages to hear more and more about the pastimes of the Lord. So he was saying, Parikshit Maharaj was going wherever tatra, wherever and wherever the king was traveling, wherever the king was visiting, because initially he was going in his chariot, he was searching for what's happening in this country of mine, what's happening in the world, why these Kali Yuga symptoms are coming, what can I do to address it. So as he was traveling, wherever he was visiting, he visited many kingdoms, many kinglets and all that. He heard the glories of his great forefathers. Saunaka Rishi Sutta Goswami is telling how the Pandavas are so famous. His forefathers are Pandavas, right? Because Parikshit Maharaj's father is Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna, and Arjuna is one of the Pandavas. So everywhere the Pandavas are famous, and even though Pandavas have left the world and Parikshit Maharaj is the king, everywhere he traveled, everyone was speaking about the Pandavas, the glories of the wonderful Pandavas. So all Mahatmanam. So Mahatmanam means those who are very glorious, extremely elevated souls. And also the Yasa Krishna Mahatmaya. So they were telling about Pandavas, they were telling about the glories of Krishna, the relationship between Krishna and the Pandavas. So when Parikshit Maharaj was hearing all this, he also heard about Atmanam cha Paritratam Swatamo Astra Tejaha. He heard even about his own situation, how when he was just a baby in the womb. He wasn't even born. Heard about himself, story about himself, how he was saved. Paritratam. So Parikshit Maharaj was saved from what? Saved from the weapon, the Brahmastra, Ashtra Tejasha, the very effulgent and powerful weapon released by Ashwatthama. So we heard this already previously in previous session. Ashwatthama released the Brahmastra, wanting to kill last descendant of the Pandavas. And more importantly, how Parikshit Maharaj was saved. Immediately he was saved by Lord Krishna, who was in the Paramatma, immediately expanded within the womb of Uttara and saved Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, as a baby in the womb, he saw all this. So, and he heard this story now repeated back to him. He was visiting all the different kingdoms. So Prabhupada gives his comment. Devotees of the Lord are never in danger. But in material world, which is full of dangers at every step, padam vipadam, right? Uh, at every step there is danger in this material world. Devotees are apparently placed into dangerous positions. And when they are saved by the Lord is glorified. So this is what happens to pure devotees. This is Leela, right? That is the wonderful pastimes. When one becomes a pure devotee, then although the pure devotee looks like as if he is in danger, but actually he was never in danger, because the Lord's hand is always protecting him. We can see this in every situation. We can see this in the situation of Prahlad Maharaj, of course. We can see this in the situation of Pandavas. Of course, the Pandavas went through so much of danger, but in actuality, it was all just a drama, just being set up for the benefit of the people in this world. Many, many things are to be taught to the people in this world. And the willing drama artists, this were the Pandavas, were the pure devotees of the Lord. Hmm. They are so like in a drama or in a movie, the actors and the actresses, although they are seen in situations of great danger, when we are watching the movie or we are watching the drama, we get scared sometimes. Our empathy is so strong, we feel very, the action is happening. But in actuality, they are not in danger. It's all just a drama. And so, but these dramas are all instructive on how the pure devotees will behave and act. In every situation, they remember the Lord. So we heard previously to this how Queen Kunti was always remembering the Lord, hmm, even in every difficulty. And more so that now the difficulties have gone, Queen Kunti is missing the difficulties. He's feeling, when will these difficulties come? Because when these difficulties come, I can remember you with great feeling. So she's addicted to that remembrance of the Lord in great feeling. And for her own benefit, she is praying to the Lord like this. Let more and more difficulties come, because when difficulties come, I can always remember you with great feeling. So that's very, very elevated understanding, right? So the point is, the devotees of the Lord are never in danger. And Krishna makes them forget they are actually, not in danger. The devotees may actually feel they are in danger, but still, where does their mind go? Where does their surrender go? All of it goes only to Krishna. Immediately they remember him. So Maharaj Parikshit was hearing about all these things, and the Goswami continues the narration. People also mentioned Sneham between the descendants of Vrishni and Ta due to the latest bhakti. Sneha means relationship, very beautiful feeling relationship. So there was a very nice relationship between the descendants of Vrishni and Pita. Pita is the mother of Arjuna, and her name is Kunti Devi, right? When she was born, she was called Pita. And Kunti Devi is auntie to Lord Krishna because they are all related. Pita is sister of Vasudev, and therefore she was a Vrishni, and therefore she was related to Lord Krishna. So people also, the wherever Parikshit Maharaj went and traveled, everybody remembered the wonderful relationship that the descendants of Lord Krishna, the family members of Lord Krishna had with Krishna. All of them were full with Kesave. They were full with devotion to Lord Keshava. So Parikshit Maharaj, hearing all this, very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. So naturally, Parikshit Maharaj, when he heard about the glories of Pandavas, when he heard about the wonderful reciprocation of the Lord with the Pandavas, the reciprocation with the devotees like Kunti Maharani and all that, Parikshit Maharaj being very intimately related to all of them. You can imagine how much he was feeling very, very moved by all these things. So out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them very valuable necklaces and clothing because he was the king. So this is the best way to spend money, right? We spend money in direct connection with anything that is related to the singing of the glories of the Lord or his devotees. So therefore, because they were glorifying the devotees, it was given to them. And Parikshit Maharaj heard, out of his causeless mercy, Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, Lord Vishnu is universally obeyed, right? So that is this verse. This is the verse in the Bhagavatam. Taratya Parashada Sevana Shakya Dautya Virasananugamana Tavana Pranaman Snigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranam Cha Vishnur. This particular, the third line, right? Snigdesu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is universally obeyed. He's like considered like the worshipable Lord of the universe. Still, this Lord Vishnu, he rendered all kinds of services to the malleable sons of Pandu. So, of course, Krishna, who is the origin of Vishnu, and he came personally, although he is Jagat, a Lord of the universe, although he is such elevated person, the king of everything, but he was performing such lowly activities. Lowly means in like not, he wasn't acting like a king. He was acting very much like a servant to the malleable sons of Pandu. Malleable means because sons of Pandu completely surrendered to the Lord, and because the sons of Pandu are surrendered to the Lord gives himself to the sons of Pandu. So therefore, when he gives himself, he starts to perform small, malleable, small, trivial services for the Pandavas. By examples, Sutta Goswami starts to give examples. What kind of services did Lord Vishnu do? So these are all snigdeshu. These are all beautiful relationship, reciprocation of the Lord with his pure devotees. What did the Lord do for the Pandavas? By accepting the posts. These are the type of posts he accepted, ranging from Artha. He became a charioteer of Pandavas, particularly Arjuna, right? It's considered in Vedic society that a charioteer's position is something like a servant. He is not in a very high position. So, but Lord Krishna, Jagatpate, Atma of the entire universe, he acted as a charioteer for for Arjuna, right? Just like how baby Krishna will carry the slippers of his father on his head, and he carries it on his head, and he goes towards his father Nanda Maharaj, and he say, Baba, Baba, where's your tears? Here are your slippers, like that. So very menial services he would do for his pure devotees. Saratya, president. President means sometimes he will tell them, he will give them advice. He will give advice to the Pandavas, and in this way the Pandavas will all listen to him without anything, without argument. And sometimes Lord Krishna will act as messenger. Messenger is also not considered a very high position. It's a servant, basically. You know, you tell someone, hey, you tell this person this message. So, but Lord Krishna did this for the Pandavas. Particularly, you know, one example was during when the war was about to begin. Before the war began, right? The Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very sad. He didn't want to go to war. So every opportunity was tried to avoid war. And then he finally told Arjuna, Krishna, can you please go one more time to Hastinapur and try to sue for peace? Try to see if he can get peace. So that's the time when Lord Krishna acted as messenger. But that wasn't the only time. There were many other times also Lord Krishna acted as messenger for the Pandavas. Sakya was a friend. Imagine the Supreme Personality of Godhead as your friend, close friend. You can put your arm around him. They were sitting on the same seat together, right? It was Veera Asana. Veera Asana means, word is watchman. He was a watchman. He acted as a watchman when the Pandavas were sleeping. So this is also a very trivial position, but Lord Krishna was doing all those things for the Pandavas. And Lord Krishna gave himself to the Pandavas. He would act according to the will of the Pandavas. So when Pandavas wanted something, when Arjuna will say, go here, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Krishna will just accept. So this is how, this is the sweet relationship of master and servant. Who is the master? Who is the servant? Right? Paying them like a servant. And offering obeisances like one younger in years. Lord Krishna used to offer obeisances to Bhima. He used to offer obeisances to Yudhishthira. He used to offer obeisances to Kunti Maharani. He is the oldest. He is the soul of the universe. Everything originates for him. Sarva Karana Karanam. He is Adi Bhagavan, right? But still, he's the eldest. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. But still, he is offering obeisances as if he is younger in years. So all this is very, very beautiful to see. It's always very beautiful to see when a very exalted or elevated personality behaves or acts in a very humble and in a very loving manner. It's very, very attractive. And what more to speak about the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself? Prabhupada says, simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord with his pure devotees, one can attain salvation. So even though we are not directly having such relationship with the Lord, but simply by hearing about others who have such relationship with the Lord, one can attain salvation. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So there is actually no room for envy. There is no room for jealousy. Everything, even if it directly doesn't involve us, as long as we can even hear about it, it is great fortune, right? So, and Sutta Goswami continues. And Parikshit Maharaj heard all this about how Lord Krishna acted in such wonderful capacity to the Pandavas. He became overwhelmed unto Charanara. Parikshit Maharaj, when he heard all this, what will happen when devotees hear about such glorification of other devotees? When we hear the glorification of other devotees, when we hear the glorification about the relationship of Lord Krishna with his devotees, naturally what should happen in our heart is our heart should overflow with bhakti unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is the understanding. So Krishna, the lotus feet of the Lord. So Prabhupada gives his book. Pandavas were so malleable to the will. Why did Krishna give himself so much to the Pandavas? Why did Krishna do this? It's because the Pandavas were completely surrendered. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, as we surrender to him, accordingly the Lord reciprocates, right? And it seems that surrender to the Lord, complete surrender to the Lord is such that the Lord can never fully reciprocate with us. In fact, when the gopis were so surrendered to the Lord that the Lord said helplessly, the Lord was telling them, look, your surrender to me is so great, I cannot give enough of myself, of whatever that's mine to you. There is nothing I can give. I think the only thing you can be satisfied is with the devotional service that you have with me. That is the greatest thing I can give you. So the Lord says that to the gopis. So by such unalloyed determination, the Pandavas were completely surrendered to the will of the Lord. They could sacrifice any amount of energy for the service of the Lord. And by such unalloyed determination, they could secure the Lord's mercy in any shape they desired. So that is also the wonderful story of the Damodar pastime. Right now is Kartik, so we have the wonderful pastimes of in Kartik, where Mother Yashoda, she did the same thing. Mother Yashoda's love for Lord Krishna was so completely surrendered that the Lord not only gave himself to Mother Yashoda, he even gave himself to be chastised by Mother Yashoda. He even opened himself to, to cry with fear, just so that it will increase the loving reciprocative relationship between mother and son. So this is how wonderful the Lord is. So then Sutta Goswami continues. Now you may hear from me Ascharyam, the wonderful pastime that I'm about to relate. Initially, he already told, in short, what is going to happen, right? The cow, the bull, and the Kali personified, the king, the Shudra dressed like a king, attacking the bull, and how Parikshit Maharaj came to them. Now he's going to tell in detail. Now you can hear from me what happened. You can see in this picture, I put Yamaraj there. Yamaraj is also sitting in the assembly because we heard in the previous session how the sages were saying, please tell only if it is really in relation with the Supreme Lord, because otherwise any other speech it is simply attracting death. Speaking unnecessarily attracts death. So Yamaraj, and to that answer, Sutta Goswami told to Saunaka Rishi, speaking about Krishna consciousness means you actually invite Yamaraj himself to sit in your house. And Yamaraj, when he's sitting in your house, he is busy hearing about Krishna consciousness. He forgets about giving death. So we should invite Yamaraj. So just like, Hanuman also says, wherever Lord Ram's pastimes are sung, are spoken, he's always there. Narada Muni is always there also whenever Harikatha or Hari Kirtan is going on. And we have one more person, Yamaraj. Not only Yamaraj, all the Mahajans, all the wonderful pure devotees of this world, they are all assembled in such a place. Hmm? While Maharaj, so long as we are following Guru and Parampara carefully, without offense. So while Maharaj Parikshit was passing his days, hearing of the good occupations of his forefathers and being absorbed in thought of them, so in this way he was visiting various kingdoms, and in all the various kingdoms, each one of those kingdoms will tell different pastimes about Pandavas and about Krishna. And Maharaj Parikshit was so enthralled, and he was lost in bliss. So while he was doing all these things, at the same time, he didn't forget his duty. He was still traveling, searching for the situation of why Kali Yuga seems to be advancing. So while he was doing this, in the meanwhile, what was happening elsewhere within the kingdom, Sutta Goswami is now going to narrate. The personality of religious principles, dharma. If you take all religious principles and imagine all that principles combine to form a person, the master of all religiosity, that is called dharma. So the personality of religious principles, dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull, but he was wandering about with only one leg. Can you imagine a bull wandering about with only one leg, hopping about, moving about in one leg? Pada ekena. Pada means feet. Ekena means only one. So while the personality of religion was hobbling about with only one leg in the form of a bull, he met a cow who appeared to grieve like a mother who had lost her child. Now, there are different types of grief in this world, or all kinds of grief. But the worst grief, the deepest and most powerful grief, is the grief of a mother who has lost his child, her child. So, and such a grief was being portrayed by this cow. She was grieving like as if she had lost a child. She had tears in her eyes, and the beauty of her body was lost. Dharma questioned her as follows. And Dharma, the bull, saw the cow. They began a conversation. Now, this conversation is very, very interesting. We will hear about it. So, Dharma, and it will continue in this chapter and also in the next chapter. So, Dharma Uvacha, and this is what Dharma said. Oh, madam, I actually put the word here. It's Badre. Badre means oh right, oh lady, oh auspicious lady, right? Proper translates it as madam. Oh madam, is telling the cow. Are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief, which is apparent by slight darkening of your face? Now we see that, right? When somebody is grieving, normally their face looks very bright. But when somebody is grieving, it becomes a little darker in pallor, right? Because they become flushed with. So therefore, this is one of the signs of how someone is in grief. Why would they be in grief? So there are causes for grief, and this Dharma will mention them. Oh, mother, are you suffering from some internal disease? That is obviously one of the causes of grief. Then he says, or are you thinking of some relative who is away in a distant place? These are the two main causes of grief. One is suffering from disease, and the other one is separation from loved ones. Right? This is the two most powerful causes of grief in this world. Not losing money. In fact, amongst all the points of grief, it is described that losing wealth, it's ranked in the lowest. Many causes of grief, losing wealth is considered the lowest rank, the amount of pain it can cause. Why? Because wealth can be gained again, whereas other things may not be gained. In fact, what is more precious than wealth? More precious than wealth is health, right? They say health is wealth, but health is more precious. You can't buy good health, even though you have the most amount of money. Even more precious than health is time. Time once gone, there's no value to it, right? You can't. So anyway, so these are the causes of suffering. And Prabhupada gives us proof. When the bull and the cow are in a joyful mood, it is to be understood that peace of the world, the people of the world are also in a joyful mood. So it is interesting that the personification of religion takes the form of a bull, and the personification of this cow is actually the personification of earth, right? And she is considered like the mother living entities in this world. So later we will hear how Dharma will address her as earth. So is explained this analogy of the cow and the bull is not coincidental. It is actually very much relevant, because the cow is the representative of the earth, the bull is the representative of religion, of religiosity, or dharma. So when the earth is well taken care of, and when religiosity is very strong and powerful, then naturally the people in the world will become joyful and happy. That is the peace formula, right? So now we see the earth is crying and the bull is hobbling about in only one leg. So Prabhupada continues. Human society, therefore, maintains these two important animals very carefully so that they can wander everywhere in cheerfulness. So it's like feng shui, it's like vastu. You take care of the cows and the bulls very nicely, and it's not just one farm or two farm. The entire society should come into this. All of us, all the people in the world should move, or at least a country, right? So then you will see prosperity and happiness and joy within the country, because the symbol of religion is the bull, and the earth, the cow is very, very sacred, just like the earth, right? If these are well taken care of, mentality of the people in this world, the karma which will go around in this world will also be very good. The bull and the cow can be protected simply by spreading of Brahminical culture as the topmost perfection of all cultural affairs. So how do we protect the bull and the cow? Not by giving grass, not by giving so many other things, because those things will only do small, uh, very small changes. You can't really. So Prabhupada makes a point very clear here. The bull and the cow can be protected by spreading of Brahminical culture. It's the topmost perfection of cultural affairs. And how do you spread Brahminical culture? By the teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, by expounding Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to the people of this world. So that's why in the 7 mission statements Srila Prabhupada created for ISKCON, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness has mission statements. And in those mission statements, one of them is, we want the first mission statement actually, we want to produce Brahminical society, a society which is living and learned in the scriptures. They not only, it's not only hear Gita, it is live Bhagavad Gita. Hear Gita, live Gita, and give Gita to others. So by doing this, we can ensure the bull and the cow can be protected, because then spreading of knowledge is given. Everyone will understand what is correct, what is not correct, what is right, what is not right. And at the same time, the special powerful weapon which will ensure that this society of Brahmanas are developed, that is the chanting of the holy name, Harinam Sankirtan. So two very important things. Simply by Harinam Sankirtan and simply by studying Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and simply by following these principles of bhakti and spreading this to other people in this world, the bull and the cow can be protected automatically. It will happen automatically, right? That is the understanding. So I have lost 3 of my legs, madam. The bull is telling the cow. I have lost 3 of my legs and I am now standing on only 1 leg. Are you crying? Are you lamenting for my state of existence? So that's the first thing that the bull is asking the cow, Mother Earth. So from here, we can understand the main reason for the cow to cry, for the earth to be in a terrible situation, is the loss of dharma, is when dharma is exploited. Who is Dharma here? Dharma is the bull, right? Dharma is standing on the 4 legs of Dharma. What are the 4 legs of Dharma? Satyam, truthfulness, Saucham, purity, Daya, mercy, and Tapa, austerity. So, but now he's only standing, this Kali Yuga now, only 1 leg. We all know Kali Yuga, only the leg of truthfulness is still standing. Saucham is cleansed, purity is gone, mercy is almost, that's why everywhere there is rampant lack of mercy. People are just doing things which have no mercy at all. So Dharma is asking the cow, the earth, are you crying because of my state of existence where I have lost my legs, where there is no more saucham, there is no more daya, there is no more mercy, no austerity, no cleanliness, purity, no truthfulness? Are you, sorry, not truthfulness, no austerity? So that is the main reason, the first reason, right? Prabhupada mentions with the progress of Kali, 4 things particularly namely the duration of life, mercy, the power of recollection, and morality or religious principles will gradually diminish. All of this will happen in Kali Yuga. When 3/4 of the population of the whole world become irreligious, again another representation of the 3 legs which are gone. So out of the 4 legs, 3 legs are gone. When 3/4 of the population of the whole world becomes irreligious, that's the situation in Kali Yuga. Situation is converted into hell for the animals. Why? Because the animals become exploited. Not only the earth, the animals also. So, therefore, the bull mentions the next point. Or are you in great anxiety because henceforward unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? So that's what happens when Dharma is, first of all, when Dharma is attacked, when Dharma is exploited, the next thing to fall will be the animals or those who are weaker, the weak. The leaders will exploit the weak. The powerful will exploit and kill even those who are weaker. And who are amongst the living entities in this world, who are the weakest ones? The animals, the poor animals. So therefore, the cow itself will become exploited, right? Prabhupada says, in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of the bull and the cow they like. And thus they will invite sufferings of various types. So this is what's happening. Cow is being slaughtered, right? It gives milk its entire life, and then after its milk is over, it gets killed. And these are all the different parts of the body of the cow. The basically it stems from currently the Western civilization and so forth, right? Very much, or even the Muslim civilization, they, they they enjoy eating all these things. And the bull even undergoes a worse situation. The bull is right from birth, even as a young bull, just a few days old, the bull is slaughtered. It's taken and slaughtered and killed. And it's sold, the meat of the bull, young bull which is killed, is given a special name. It's not called beef, it is called veal, because it is very, very tender and soft, it seems. Naturally, lah, you kill a young baby, right? It will be naturally very soft. So, but this is what's happening. So are you crying for earth? The earth itself will cry when this is happening. Are you in great anxiety because all these things is going to happen to you in Kali Yuga, to all the animals? Then the Guru continues. Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings, because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Is this the reason? So in Kali Yuga, we hear in our scriptures how in previous yuga there are different people used to see the devatas. The devatas used to come down on earth. Even the Lord came down on earth. Lord Krishna was there directly, and there were many who knew the Lord was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although the demonic people didn't accept it. But still, there were many who knew the Lord, and he performed wonderful activities, and the devatas were here. So, in the three yugas previously, the devatas would come because still there was very powerful religiosity. But and particularly in Dwapara Yuga, Lord Krishna himself came. So Kali Yuga was very much kept in check. But in Kali Yuga, that was not the case. It's called the age of the steel age, the age of steel, the age of technology, the age of immorality, the age of quarrel, the age of hypocrisy. So in this situation, the devatas become they consider the situation on earth to be like, extremely polluted. So they don't step foot in a polluted place. They don't come. Mm. So therefore, the yagyas are also not effective, because whatever yagyas are being performed, they are all not pure. And varnashram dharma has already been corrupted. The brahmanas are corrupted. So what to speak of a pure yagya, right? Nothing is going to happen properly. So and people also lose their inclinations. They are also not interested in performing yagya. So yagya here doesn't only mean fire sacrifice. It means performing one's duty. So in Kali Yuga, nobody is really interested in performing their duty. Everybody is simply only interested in their own gain. They want the karma, but they are not interested in the dharma. There's dharma, artha, kama, moksha. They want artha, they want wealth, they want kama, they want to satisfy their lust, but they are not interested in dharma. They don't want to perform their duty. So because no one is performing their duties, right? Are you lamenting because of this? Brahma is asking. So Prabhupada gives a comment. Demigods are the servants of the Lord who see to the proper upkeep of the prison house. These demigods want to see that the rebel living beings who want to survive faithlessly are gradually turned towards the supreme power of the Lord. Therefore, the system of offering sacrifice is recommended in the scriptures. So now we understand why Karma Kanda pathway is given. Because not everybody is willing to accept the Lord and take up pure devotional service. Many of them are interested in pursuing their desires. So for them, just so that they will simply by following their desires, by following the prescribed rules and regulations given in the scriptures, in the Karma Kanda section, they will at least gradually elevate themselves by following this. They will become purified and eventually come towards offering sacrifices. So that was the purpose behind it. So the cow is also known as the reservoir of all devatas. So all the devatas are considered to take residence within the body of a cow. So inside the body of the cow, you can see this picture. That's why I took this picture. In this picture, you can not this picture, all the devatas are said to stay within the body of the cow. The back side of the cow is said to be where Lakshmi is residing. That's why the cow dung and the cow urine is pure. Anyway, right? Then Prabhupada continues. The devotees, however, we are not into the path of the karma kanda process. There is no need for performance of prescribed sacrifices because the very life of the devotee is a symbol of sacrifice. Sacrifice in devotional service, everything that one does is already a sacrifice. Therefore, there is no need for one to take up the prescribed sacrifices enjoined in the Vedas. But persons who are engaged in fruitive activities simply for sense enjoyment, they are not in the path of bhakti. So, what will save them? So, therefore, they must perform prescribed sacrifices because that is the only means to get free from the reaction of all sins committed by fruitive workers. Right? So, that is the understanding. It's for them. So Lord Chaitanya, however, has recommended only one sacrifice because people, they are not well versed in the scriptures. There are no pure brahmanas. There are no pure ingredients. So how can we do sacrifices? And people are so busy, right? So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, never mind about any other sacrifice. I give you one sacrifice which is easy to do, which you can do anytime, anywhere, in any situation, whether you're clean or unclean, whether you are in whether you are in a car or whether you are in your office, wherever. That sacrifice is called Sankirtan Yagya, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which everyone can take part. Thus, both devotees and fruitive workers can derive equal benefit from the performance of Sankirtan Yagya. So this is the Yagya meant, especially meant for the Kali Yuga. The more we do this yagya, the more we become purified, simply by chanting the Mahamantra. So that is why devotees who take up pure bhakti yoga, we promise to chant a minimum fixed amount of rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? And then we continue doing that further, additionally. So then the bull continues. Oh, madam, are you grieving for living beings because of suffering due to famine and drought? So this is what happens, right? Dharma is neglected. What is the result of that? The earth becomes exploited. The animals, the weaker people, all become exploited. When especially when the cow and the bull becomes exploited, what will be the result? The result is misery for the people in this world. And how will this misery be visited to the people in this world? This is one of the main ways. In Kali Yuga, this is the age of scarcity. Other yugas, there were age of plenty. We hear in the scriptures how the kings would give thousands and millions of cows and elephants and gold in charity. But in Kali Yuga, we can forget about all that. Yes, forget about millions and pounds or whatever. So if somebody has even a little bit of gold in their possession, that is considered a big deal already. So, but the main thing is misery. And this will come in these ways by famine and drought. So this is happening. Do you know there are more people killed due to famine and drought in this world in 1 year compared to all the people who died in COVID in 1 year during the height of the COVID? So much of fuss and so much of, of, of drama and play was being played by the media just during the COVID times because of the number of people, so-called number of people dying, which is also not fully accounted for. Uh, but actually, every year, not only for these few years, for many, 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 many years, decades, consistently, 400,000, I don't know, I forgot the number. I think it was 400 something thousand. That many people were dying every year because of malnutrition, because of famine, and because of drought. Anyway, are you crying for that? That's also something to be cried for. The earth is crying for that. And then Guru continues. continues. Or are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn, unscrupulous persons? And he gives the name for such unscrupulous persons. He calls them Purusha Ada. Purusha Adai means man-eaters. It directly translates to Rakshasas. So these are the names for people who do this to women and children. Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous, this kind of Rakshasas? So this is what uh, Bull is saying. So we see that also, right? And actually, this is happening a lot in this world. So why is this happening? This exploitation of women, it began with the exploitation of women. Remember, I said how uh, because the Brahminical culture is destroyed, because religiosity is destroyed, and religiosity is exploited, what will happen when religiosity is exploited? People who are leaders of society, who are supposed to be the guardians of this so-called religion, when the religion becomes exploited, these leaders, they will start exploiting people who are dependent on them, who are their underlings. So when I talk about society, society at every level, not only the political leaders, not only the kings, not only the brahmanas, the teachers, the religious heads, the priests, but also the family unit. Within the family unit also, there are husbands, there are wives, right? And generally in Vedic society, husband is supposed to be the leader. Husband is supposed to lead the family towards spirituality, supposed to give protection. But what happens when religiosity is exploited? In the name of religion, in the name of dharma, these so-called leaders, they will start to exploit the people under them. Particularly, and this is what happened. The family unit started with the women being exploited. The husbands will mistreat the wife. The family members will mistreat the ladies within the family, right? Especially the in-laws. And this will happen so much so that, so many terrible situations. Society become degraded, and they started establishing caste system, they started establishing dowry system, and it became so burdensome to society that in India, not only in India, in many parts of the world, actually, even in China, and also in some Western situations, when when society, when the family has female children, the entire family will go into depression, and so much so that they will even kill their young female children. There is one forest in India known as Pottakadu, somewhere in South India. So there it is said that that jungle, that forest is where many people within that village, when they have baby girls, they will kill the baby girls and they will bury the baby girls in that forest. So it's like that forest is, it's home to hundreds, and I don't know the number, probably in thousands. So this is what happened. Why? Because they were so burdened, and they were driven to it. Couldn't manage. They couldn't, because in Indian society it would mean dowry, and it would mean, they can't pay for it. They can't do this. So it's, we don't want to go into that, the details of all that. But the point here is exploitation of women start to happen. When exploitation in women start to happen, what else? Over the period of years, women are also human beings. They're going to take it. One day, they will start to declare their independence. And this is also driven by Kali, because that is also adharmic. Women were not meant to be independent. Women were meant to be protected. When the protectors abuse their position, and when they exploit the women, what choice do the poor women have? So, in such a situation, one by one, they declare independence. So, of course, it started with the West, women's suffrage movement, also guided by Kali. The movement itself was guided by, because at that time in the West, the women were protected at home. And just to exploit the women further so that the women become available to the masses in public, so that economy can double the GDP when the women start to work. So all of these factors came fueled by the greed for economic development and fueled by the greed of the men to exploit the women further to make them more accessible, started teaching the women independence. Very subtly, all this was happening. Women's independence became rampant. So Prabhupada makes a point here. Marriage at all will be performed as a matter of formal agreement only between man and woman. This kind of corruption started to happen. The society fabric became corrupted. Marriage was still happening, but the institution of marriage became corrupted. It became more like a formal arrangement only. People were still interested in getting married, satisfy their various whatever it is. Duty of that marriage was forgotten. The duty which was enshrined in that marriage institution was slowly left off. The duty of the society. What is the role of the father-in-law, the mother-in-law, the mother, the father, right? In welcoming the married couple, right? All of this becomes destroyed. So chaos became prevalent, right? It became more of a contract, dowry contract, money contract, right? And when women's independence became rampant, natural consequence is degradation of society. A society cannot function without chaste women, cannot function without mothers, cannot function. So the home becomes disturbed, and as a result, in most cases, Prabhupada said, children become the victim, will not be taken care of properly, right? So children becomes unprotected. So that's happening. It's nobody's fault here. It's not the women's fault, right? What is the problem here? The problem here, we will come to that. We will come to that. The bull itself will tell what's the problem, what's the cause of the problem. So I've mentioned already. So this is all happening. Children become unprotected, right? They become exploited. You can see so much of this. We hear this almost every day. So when we talk about protection, we must remember protection here not only means physical protection. Protection means mind, body, and spirit, and culture. Remember what Arjuna said in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita? When the elders of society are killed, the women will be unprotected. And what will happen after that? Culturally, everybody will become degraded. That is what will happen, right? When the values of culture, of religiosity is not passed down from the mother, from the father, because naturally who takes care of the child? The mother, right? And when the mother is not available, her time is taken up elsewhere. When she's not able to give her association to the child, when the father is not able to give the association to the child, right, or to the wife, what will happen? Then naturally, who is going to give association to the children then? They have to get the association somewhere. So they are sent to schools. And what kind of people come to schools? All the same type of people only. And all of them give association to each other. So in the end, all kinds of bad habits in school, bad words, culture, bad behavior, right? So all of this happens. Children become protected, mind, body, spirit, culturally as well. As a result, continuous further degradation of society. In the degradation of society, continue to further exploit women, continue, and the cycle continues and continues and continues. The reason, what is the core reason for it? The core reason for it, the bull says, the bull will ask the Mother Earth, oh, are you unhappy? Because the Vacham Devim, goddess of learning, Vacham Devim, Vacham means speech. The goddess of speech or the goddess of learning is being handled by Brahmanas addicted acts against the principles of religion. That is the cause. This is the beginning of Kali Yuga. If you will hear later in the later chapters, in chapter 18 and 19 and 20, right? you will hear how Kali Yuga, how Kali actually got a position to a strong foundation to grow. What created the foundation for Kali to grow? We will hear about that later. But we are giving you the, I mean, here the same point is also mentioned. The real reason is because of the degradation of Dharma and the protectors of Dharma. Dharma, custodians of Dharma are the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas become corrupted, Dharma is also corrupted. So therefore, Bull is asking, are you unhappy because goddess of learning is being handled by Brahmanas against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture? That's why you can understand when Prabhupada put the number one mission statement of ISKCON, the number one mission statement of ISKCON is to establish Brahminical society as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Vedic scriptures. This is the solution. That's why it's very important we understand the solution for the ills of society is Krishna consciousness. When we push Krishna consciousness as described by Srila Prabhupada, as enshrined by Srila Prabhupada, and not introducing new things, not introducing all kinds of other things or artificial cow protection or anything like that, but actually to follow exactly what Krishna has put, how Prabhupada has set it, right? That is what we understand, right? So are you unhappy because the Vacham, are you sorry to see the Brahmanas have taken shelter? So when the Brahmanas are reformed, first class men and women are being developed in society, automatically protection, automatically women protection, automatically children protection, all this will happen according to scripture. And not being politicized in different ways. So this is what will happen sometimes, right? So Prabhupada says, in the age of Kali, godless civilization creates so many so-called religious societies. See what Prabhupada is saying here. In godless civilizations will create so many so-called religious societies in which the personality of Godhead will be directly or indirectly defied. Religion itself will be the tool used by the godless society at our dharma. That's what will happen. Irony of it. And who will lead this? The Brahmanas, the leaders of religion, administrative heads, the class condemn the tenets of Vedic wisdom and will prefer to conduct so-called secular state. And the so-called educated Brahmanas will be purchased by the such unscrupulous administrators. This is what happens. The leaders of society, in the name of religion, they will reject so-called religion and they will establish a secular state. Let's establish ethics separate from religion. Let's separate ethics from religion. Let's separate dharma from religion. And because religion is already corrupted, let's separate. And after that, what will happen? They will hire so-called Brahmanas to be their advisors and they will get salary. So that's the problem. When Brahmanas become engrossed or embroiled with money, they are supposed to be independent, having nothing to do with money matters, right? But when they dabble with money, then they are no longer independent. They become subservient to where the money comes from. They will start only looking for where's the money, where is the money, where is the money. They will no longer be interested in focusing on the truth, on focusing on what is satyam. So this is what we call corrupted Brahmanas. And they exist in so-called religious societies, right? That's the danger. Then the bull continues. So-called administrators, Bandhun, the so-called administrators, leaders, are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali. And thus, they have all state affairs into disorder. So therefore, we see We see unhappiness, we see petitions, we see riots, we see people objecting. We don't see cooperation, right? Although there are so many people, but where is the cooperation? This is not happening. So Prabhupada says, nowadays, are promoted to such exalted posts, the votes of the people are themselves fallen in the rules and regulations of life. This is what's happening. Leaders get promoted to their positions by votes, and they fall in the rules of regulations of life. Prabhupada continues, therefore, by the influence of the age of Kali, everywhere, politically, socially, or religiously, everything is topsy-turvy. That's the word. And therefore, for the sane man, it is all regrettable. So this is happening in Kali Yuga. Remember, it's just 5,000 years. It's going to get much worse. Exploitation is going to go through unless we get the people who take up the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, who take up the Srimad Bhagavatam and push the Harinam Sankirtan all over the world to make a difference. It will happen, right? But at the same time, Kali Yuga is also will happen, but there will be a situation, a golden age, where Dharma will still prevail for the next 10,000 years, right? And this is heralded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. It will happen. We just have, how will it happen? We can either choose to be an instrument in this movement to push this Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and the chanting of the holy names powerfully, strongly, without compromise, or we can do nothing, right? But it will happen anyway. It will, if we don't do nothing, then we don't become the, we don't get the mercy. So we all have to take up this role. We have to take up bhakti, devotional practice ourselves, practice it seriously, sincerely ourselves, and share it with everyone, right? In an organized manner. When Prabhupada was about to leave the world, they asked Prabhupada, how will this movement of ISKCON will be pushed to be relevant in this world that we're going to live in when you are no longer here? They were expecting some esoteric answers. Prabhupada gave the answer. He said, with intelligence and organization. These are the two things which we will need. Everything else I have given. Everything else is given. With intelligence and organization, right? What we can do, books are the basis, purity is the force. We have to develop purity within ourselves, and with intelligence and organization, the teaching is the essence. We utilize every situation for the purpose. Then it can be done. So then the bull is saying, are you lamenting for this disorder that's going to happen in this world? So all of this is already foreseen 5,000 years ago, right? This Bhagavatam is 5,000 years old. Before all this, right? It's already foreseen. The bull continues. Now, the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations of eating, sleeping, drinking, and mating. This is common for all living entities. Humans are supposed to have something higher than this. Forget about Dharma. Forget about Dharma. Even sleeping, defending, eating, and mating also, general population is not going to follow the regulations. They're going to do this indiscriminately, right? Eat anything they want, sleep however long they want, whenever they want, defend for every drop of the hat, right? Mating indiscriminately and shamelessly. All this is going to happen. And they are inclined to perform such activities anywhere and everywhere. This is happening, right? Right? We know this is happening. And remember, 5,000, what about 5,000 years ago? 100 years, 200 years ago, if we ask our ancestors, they would think such a thing is not really going to happen. It would look, no, will all this really happen? But 5,000 years ago, all this is already mentioned. So that is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. Are you unhappy because of this? The Buddha is asking. So Prabhupada will say, in this age, fathers and the guardians are not happy with the behavior of their wards. Why? We should know that so many innocent children are victims of bad association, warded by the influence of this age of Kali. So we must understand association is the problem. If we cannot give quality association to our wards, right? If the father cannot give quality association or guidance to the family, if the mother cannot do so for her children, right? All not guided by the leaders of society, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, if they cannot do this, then what is going to happen? This is what will happen. The association becomes corrupted. From Srimad Bhagavatam, there was but one victim, Ajamila, in those days. But in this age of Kali, poor innocent students are daily victims of cinemas which attract men only for sex indulgence. So, in this interesting story of the cow and the bull, Prabhupada mentions this example of Ajamila. We know the story of how Ajamila became corrupted due to bad association. Although he had good association in the beginning, but due to bad association and due to suppressed desires and offenses, he developed bad attraction towards the sense gratification, and he became victim. But somehow or other, he was eventually saved by unconsciously chanting the name of Lord Vishnu, Narayana, at the time of death. So that the only solution which can save one is by sincerely and seriously, in a humble state of mind, tolerant than a tree, giving respects to everyone, and expecting no respect for ourselves. In this mood, by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can be saved from these effects of the age of Kali. The bull continues, O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari incarnated himself just to unload your heavy bara, your burden. All his activities here are transcendental, and they cement the path of salvation. So the bull is telling, chanting the holy name is one thing, hearing about the pastimes of the Lord is another thing. Both of these will cement the path of salvation. Sravanam, Kirtanam. So this will lead to Nirvana Vilambitani, salvation, right? You are now bereft of his presence. Krishna is not here. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence, right? So therefore, Phil is asking, are you sad because of this, that the Lord is no longer here to protect? And in this way, you're feeling sorry. Then, Phil continues, you are Vasundare. So the cow is considered, of course, the cow is the personification of earth itself. And Dharma is telling, the Dharma is naming the cow to a Vasundare. Vasundare means reservoir of all riches. Isn't that the earth? The earth is the reservoir of all riches, right? The gems of the earth come from the earth. The gold and the precious metals come from the earth. The pearls also come from within the earth planet, right? Everything that is precious within this world. So therefore, the earth is the reservoir of all riches. You hold everything. Prabhupada is saying, not only is this earth fully equipped with all the riches of the maintenance of its inhabitants, but also when the Lord descends to the earth, the whole earth becomes so enriched. Why did the earth become so rich? Because of the lotus footprints left by the Lord. Therefore, the earth became very rich. Enriched by all kinds of opulences that even the denizens of heaven worship it with all affection. Prabhupada continues, please inform me, sorry, this is the bull. The bull continues, you are Vasundare, the reservoir of all riches. Please tell me the root cause, Adi Mulam, root cause of your tribulations, of your cause of misery. You hold all riches within you. Why are you so miserable? Why are you crying like as if you have lost your calf? is the root cause of your tribulation. So the bull is very intelligent. Of course, it's Dharma. He's saying, tell me the root cause by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. And then the bull continues, right? I think powerful influence of Alena, time, the bull is Dharma. He's asking the cause from the cow, from earth, but he's also giving what he thinks is the reason. Yeah. I think that the powerful influence of Kala, time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your saubhagyam, all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigod. Surar Chitam, those who are the demigods, they adored your fortune, has all been taken away by Kala. So that's the power of Kala. Kala will take, if we think that we are great now, that we are wonderful now, that we are happy, what everything, always understand, always remember, Kala is there, right? We cannot, that's the nature of this material world. Nothing is permanent. What we have now, another day we will not have. What we don't have today, another day we may have. So therefore, Krishna says, Matra sparsastu kaunteya sitoshana sukha dukkada. Happiness and distress may come and go according to our karma. So those who are devotees of the Lord, they understand this. Why they understand this? Because they have heard from scripture. They have heard the many, many examples. They have heard about how one should behave in such situations. So they become pacified even though they go through these situations. Anyway, the bull is saying, might have been forcibly taken away. I think it's Kala, the time. So that is definitely a reason, right? Kala, to the presence of Kali, developed the degradation of Dharma. How did this start? How did this degradation, how did this situation come? By the degradation of Dharma. This is the root cause. Spirituality, when there is mankind now rich in different things, right? The scientists and man in general are very proud. They say our society and our culture is so advanced. We are so modern. We have artificial intelligence. We have machines. We have robots. We have technology. We can go to space. We can do all kinds of wonderful things. We can, technology is magic. But although we have achieved great advances in so many situations, but because the key principle of religiosity, of dharma, of real religiosity, of dharma is missing, therefore we see degradation in this world like never before. Unprecedented degradation at every level, from society to the world, to the family unit, to the person, to the morality. Everything is degraded. So that is the cause, degradation of dharma. And just to go through again, that will lead to the exploitation of the cow and the bull. Not only literally, but figuratively also. Literally, the cow and the bull is exploited, but figuratively, the cow represents the earth and the resources, and the women and the children, and the bull represents the religiosity, bull represents the protector, bull represents the dharma, right? All of these have been exploited. It has been weaponized, and exploitation continues. This will, what will this lead to? It will lead to sacrificial cycle stopped. Culture of the people in general is taken away from duty and spiritual religiosity, attaining the Supreme Lord. It has been diverted from this, and it's now diverted towards sense gratification, lording over matter, and exploitation of resources and others, right? People are also seen as resources now, so people are also exploited. Not to speak of animals. This will naturally lead to scarcity. Why? Because heavy karma, such behavior is heavy karmic reaction, and this will not leave us in peace. It will lead us to war, it will lead us to famine, it will lead us to drought, it will lead us to natural calamities happening, and all this will culminate in scarcity. And what will happen? This will further corrupt people. Women become unprotected because, they start protecting themselves. They exploit others. Women and children become unprotected. And what will happen? So foreign Brahmanas are also fallen in the name of religiosity. They exploit further and further. And this will lead to collapse of Varnashram. So when the collapse of Varnashram happens, civilization is lost. They lose their way. They don't know. So Prabhupada describes how civilization is spiraling downwards towards hell. And it's bringing them, everyone within the civilization, spiraling towards hell. And that's the danger. And this will lead to degradation of dharma, further degradation of dharma, and again the cycle will continue. The cycle will continue in a larger environment, larger circle, right? The same cycle, degradation of dharma, exploitation of bull, where it began in one locality, it will now expand to the entire country, expand to the entire world. The degradation cycle, and it will expand throughout time. 2,000 years ago, Kali Yuga began, and Kali Yuga will expand further and further and further. So this is what is going to happen. The bull is telling the cow, Earth, are you crying for all of this? Because this is the case. Mother Earth is lamenting for her children. Mother Earth is lamenting for the situation. She herself is being exploited and raped, right? And this is happening. So, very interesting conversation. We will hear after this so much of interesting points has put. You will be very, 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 very surprised by the answer that the cow will give. And this answer, we will hear about it in the next session. Today we will stop here. It's already 9:40, going to be 9:40. Let us recite. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. So any questions or clarifications or doubts? Anything we don't agree with? Any statement we feel? Yeah? Yes, Mataji. Okay. That's the thing. We should agree with everything that Prabhupada says here, right? If we don't, there is a doubt. So we should clarify the doubts, right? And if we clarify the doubts, our faith grows. Our faith becomes stronger and stronger. And even in the face of all kinds of situations that happens in this world, we'll be very strong and focused in our path towards Krishna consciousness. Okay. So if there are no questions, no problem. If at all there are any, always welcome to put it in the chat or send it to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Don't worry, any questions, how trivial, well, whatever it is, I'm happy to share it and happy to do that. Right. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much for your time and your patience. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, and what pranams to you. Thank you.
Pranams to everybody.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.